Here's a 3-step decision-making framework that's going to make you money, and save you time. My name is Kasim. I've built 6 multi-million-dollar businesses. I've had 2 successful exits, 1 for 8 figures. I generated a $10,000,000 net worth, and my goal in life is to help you achieve 3x freedom. And I want to talk to you about how I make my decisions. I have a portfolio of 15 businesses in my slate and an incubator where we do nothing but try to buy and build other businesses. And the disadvantage that I'm at now is what I call the paradox of opportunity. There's too many opportunities coming to me. And that's what ends up happening when you've achieved some level of success. Opportunity flows to success. And so one of the questions I get often is, how do you decide? How do you decide what to do? How do you decide what not to do? What I'll preface with is, I'm really bad at it. I'm really bad at it because I get so excited about what I can see I know I'd be good at. A quote that somebody gave me recently that I really liked is, just because you can doesn't mean that you should. And so I've tried to use this 3-step framework, this 3-question framework in order to point my muzzle, so to speak, when it comes to identifying opportunity. Every opportunity, every decision you make is a balance of risks. Anything you say yes to means there's something you're saying no to, because you're resource limited. You only have a certain amount of time, you only have a certain amount of money, and you only have a certain amount of resources. And the third category, by the way, might be things like employees, programs. In the case of my incubator, strategic partners, there's a limited amount of resources. You only have a certain amount of attention. And so anything you say yes to is something that you're going to say no to. So the first question to ask yourself anytime there's a new opportunity is, what is the cost of doing this? What is this actually going to cost me? What is it going to cost me in money? What is it going to cost me in time? And then you might ask yourself things like, what's it going to cost me in reputation? A really good example. One of my best friends is nerd famous in a very potent industry. This is an industry that a lot of people want to get into, and a lot of people have made a ton of money in. And he told me the other day about his Instagram profile. He goes, everybody that comes to me, every new employee, every new marketing agency, every new strategic partner wants me to say something on Instagram about whatever it is that we're doing. And every time he posts to Instagram, it costs him in reputation. Anytime he makes an offer on Instagram, because he has millions of followers, those offers influence the way his followers perceive him. There's a cost to that. But the people that are coming to him saying, hey man, can you just post this thing real quick? Can you do me a favor and give me a shout out? Can you mention the new line of business that we just rolled out? And in many cases, these are businesses that he owns or started or thought of. And yet he has to think long and hard about what he posts, because his entire shtick has been to give and to give and to give and to give and to give. And to suddenly make an ask puts him in a position where there's significant cost to that. That's one Instagram post. And you, by the way, have that same problem. I don't care the size of your network. Every time you make an ask, there's a cost to that. So what's the cost? What are the cost of doing this? What's the cost in money? What's the cost in time? Time, by the way, might be one of the most significant. One of the costs that I have to think about. I have a staff that has been abused by my ideas, because I will show up to meetings and I'm like, y'all, I have it. I can't begin to, I'm so excited about this new thing, and we're going to go off the rails, and it's going to be amazing, and we're going to put all of our time, effort, and energy behind it. And then we try it and it fails. And I'm an entrepreneur. I'm used to that. I actually kind of like it. I like failing forward. I like the iterative attempts. It can bleed your employees to death. It can be soul sucking to the wrong people. What's the cost to the trust that your staff has in you when you roll out this new idea? What are the costs on every level of analysis, in every category? Really think through that. What is the cost of doing this? So let's say you have a new opportunity in front of you. Sit down and walk through that process. That's question number 1. Question number 2, not going to surprise you at all. It's the same question in reverse. What is the cost of not doing this? This is an interesting one, because very often what you'll find is the opportunities that are presenting themselves to you because there's a shift in the market. So Zuckerberg announced a few months ago that starting at the end of 2026, Facebook ads are going to manage themselves, which blows my mind, by the way. There is no creative, there's no landing page, there's no bid adjustments. I think there's no budgets. It's 100% AI driven. If you're a Facebook ad agency, there's a cost to not shifting what you do. Now, does that mean there are going to be no Facebook ad agencies? No, I don't think so. I think that there are going to be agencies that help do things that are effectively peripheral to the ecosystem, right? So defining the product, defining the value, helping with things like, imagery and offer and pricing, post-click attribution, analytics reporting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a cost for not moving on that information. So very often new opportunities come about because of shifts in the market. And if you don't start paying attention to those shifts, then it puts you in a position of making a really bad decision. That's why I like this question, because on the outside looking in, you're like, all right, man, what's the cost of doing it? What's the cost of not doing it? If you wanted to ignore the validity of the process, you could dismiss this out of hand right out of the gate. But if you really start to dig into it, the cost of not doing it very often speaks to the reason it's an opportunity in the first place. So what's the cost of doing it? Make a full list. What's the cost of not doing it? Make a full list. And what's really fun is those lists tend to be in many ways comparable, right? The cost of doing it and the cost of not doing it often match up in various ways. You're looking at a teeter-totter, and that teeter-totter will teach you which direction you should be tipping in. Question number 3, and this is where we get, I think, triple PhD ninja. This is the third dimension, right? You have your X and your Y axis, which is the cost of doing it, the cost of not doing it, and your Z axis is, what is the cost of waiting? This is one of my favorite. I love leaving balls in the air. So I know the cost of doing it. I know the cost of not doing it. What's the cost of waiting? As often as not, using the Facebook analogy, if it's true, if we trust the timeline, end of 2026, that means we have a year and a half, we have 18 months. Digital marketing has moved faster than in the past. And if we wait, we get to see what other people do. We get to let other agencies take the arrows. We get to see what clients are preparing to do. We get to see what the narrative outlook looks like. We get to see the response to the announcement. We get to see if Meta makes any massive adjustments to their infrastructure. We get to see what new opportunities might reveal themselves within the realm of media buying. And so waiting puts us in a position to three-dimensionalize the cost of taking action and the cost of not taking action. And I think entrepreneurs very, very rarely consider waiting. And I think it can be one of the most important things you can do. They either do it or they don't. And if they don't do it, they kind of forget about it. And then they think about it months later. And now it becomes an obvious thing that we should have done. Well, maybe you made the right decision at the time, but you need to keep it on the horizon. I really love looking at my opportunity board and seeing everything that I've decided to wait on, because it still excites me as much as it did before I took action. I now have way more clarity about the cost of taking action, the cost of not taking action, and the cost of waiting. And the key there is making sure that you revisit it at intervals that make sense. Sometimes that could be day to day, sometimes that's month to month, sometimes it's quarter to quarter. I do not believe in planning in that way, especially in the ecosystem that we're in. Things change too often. New data introduces itself too often and too frequently. I believe in goal setting on a long-term span. I want to know where it is that I want to go. I want $100 million net to me after taxes. I want to help employ 10,000 people around the world. I want a homestead on 100 acres where I can just hang out with my kids and not be around technology. Those are my goals. My plans, I don't look out past 90 days. I can't. Who can? Those plans don't make sense. Anybody who's planning past 90 days, and this is why I love the EOS crowd with their level 10 meetings, I have yet to see a 91st day task that's actually relevant, unless maybe, I don't know, you're a paleontologist, or you're in a government sector where everything really does need that level of approval. For those of us that are in more nimble industries, I'd be really careful about being too specific about when something's going to happen. So don't plan execution, plan to revisit. And then you can ask yourself those same 3 questions again. What's the cost of taking action? What's the cost of not taking action? And what's the cost of waiting? I hope this is valuable and helpful. If you disagree with me, I'd love to hear from you. By the way, you'd be giving me a gift. If 2 people agree on everything, one of them is unnecessary. So please be necessary. Hit me in the comments with your disagreements, and I'll see you in the next video.